to begin.
Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Social Primate Podcast. We have the great Viva Padilla.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me in your space. We're currently at Rearte in Boyle Heights.
That's right.
Independent bookstore that you started, what, a couple, 3-4 years ago or something now?
2021, yeah, it's going to be 3 years.
Damn. You know, and one of these things, people recognize you at this point. They're like, wait a second, this face looks familiar. You were on the podcast, we said about maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Well, and I think I was like on some of the very first episodes that you did, and then years later you had me again, and then now I think it's the third time.
Yeah, exactly. So
a total of 3.
We went from Live Locals to now the
oh yeah, it was
Primate.
Live Locals. That's right. That's the name of it. Yeah, I remember those days. It was like inside some kind of like.
Yeah, like
dude, it was like some kind of
it was a massage
rehearsal
parlor
studio.
before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and they got converted into like a studio. So some places still had the shower and like the.
Yeah, I remember that.
You know so
we were like by a sink or like it was. Yeah, I remember that. It was cool.
So yeah, you know,
that.
the podcast has evolved since then.
Yeah.
Just like how you have, you know, when we first talked, you were still doing Dryland.
We have evolved. Yeah, I that was in the very beginning of my endeavor into the world of publishing, into starting my literary journal. That was like what, 2015?
Yeah,
and now it's 9 years later. So. Yeah,
you're almost at the 10 years, fucking decade.
I'm almost there. Damn, I feel old just saying that.
I mean, I know since then, Dryland rebranded to Sin Cesar magazine, right?
Yeah, Sin Cesar, right. That's right. We just recently did that. Man, my memory is so bad now because so many things have happened. But I think that was 2022 when we rebranded to Sin Cesar. Dryland was a good name, but it was never my name. You know, it was gifted to me by a mentor of mine from Punk Hostage Press, Razor. And it was kind of his idea to start a literary journal called Dryland. But, you know, I just kind of took the name, didn't really care for it one way or another. But I decided to kind of make my own and, you know, just put it, you know, have Dryland kind of evolve into a different thing. So it hasn't really completely changed like my whole mission behind the journal, but I have incorporated a little bit more of what I want, of what I've been wanting to do for a long time, including like more translations, more art. Yeah, so it's like been a big focus of mine to just do more translations and incorporate more of the full color art. So yeah, a lot of things have changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, the progress has been awesome to see. You know, I for sure just followed your account since then. So
yeah, thank you.
Seeing, you know, I remember this one time I went to pick up, I forgot which Dryland issue it was, but I think you were still somewhere in LA, and it was like a small little area where you were making
a little
books.
closet. I had So I used to rent out a little closet. That was like my little art studio. It was literally like 80 square feet or something, right? Is that the right measurement? Yeah, it was the super tiny little closet space. But, you know, that space really helped me grow a lot because I was able to kind of develop a lot of the things that I wanted to do later on. But yeah, it was a cheap little, it was literally like a little janitor's closet. And I did my first magazine in there. And yeah, I've you know, yeah. Now we're in a bigger space, which I'm happy to say. But yeah, I will never forget those times where I first started.
Yeah, no, and it's a beautiful space. Like honestly, I love coming into spaces where there's endless things to look at, especially things that are like important to the people around here.
Yeah,
and you hold events, so that's another thing you're bringing to the community, just not just asking for money for them to buy books. You know, you're bringing them out here to.
Well,
I
hope they buy books. Yes, I do. But yes, the events are a big part of what keeps me going and what it has always been the dream of mine, to bring people together and to have a place where people could, you know, explore their political ideas and also explore art. It's not just like a place where I want to, you know, it's not just like a quote unquote educational center where I want people to come in and learn something. People come here and they meet each other. They, you know, they get into different types of conversations that expand their understanding of the world and their political consciousness. Also, their understanding of art, especially Chicano art, because we are in the Chicano community. So, yeah, this space has really been a beautiful place for me to grow also, you know, and I've met a lot of cool people here. And I have like these wonderful friends around me that have, you know, pushed me forward and have uplifted me. So the space has been truly just one of the most amazing things in my life, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to, you know, to do the work.
Yeah. You think your intentions have changed from when you first started to now? Like, I mean, I'm sure they've evolved, like your end goals, right?
Well, you know, I always wanted to have a space. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to have like a art space or like a bookstore. And so it was always there. The dream was always there. And I never knew exactly what that would mean. I just knew that that's what I wanted, and that's what was calling to me.
Mm-hmm.
I never told myself to put any kind of limitations on the dream of having a bookstore. I never told myself, oh, I only want to do this or I only want to do that. As I got into, you know, running the bookstore, it just, more things just started coming up, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I should do this and I should do more of that. You know, I should work with these people, I should work with this person. And, you know, it just kind of, once I got into it, it just kind of opened up more possibilities that I didn't really think of before necessarily. Like I didn't have like a business plan, like, oh, I'm going to do these type of events and this kind of stuff. I knew that I wanted to just do everything, but I just didn't know how that would look like or who would be involved. It was just kind of all kind of a dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in one of our last conversations, I think you mentioned something along the words that sometimes you got to be put in a position not knowing what you have to do, what steps you got to do next, but you just got to take the leap and just be like, hey, I want to get this bookstore. I got to learn the ropes.
Yeah, I mean, that's been most of my career is learning things myself. I taught myself how to design books. I taught myself, you know, how to understand poetry. A lot of these things I pretty much dedicated myself to learning. And so the bookstore is an extension of my learning and my knowledge. You know, things that I think are important are always the challenges that I face. So I'm really blessed that I can live like this, you know.
Yeah, and it's cool that you brought it back to Boyle Heights too. Like you decided to establish something here. I
mean, I only came to this area because of my dad. My dad was a musician, and my dad was born in Mexico, and he came to East Los to live here. And, you know, he kind of established himself here as a musician. He had a record label off of Whittier Boulevard, and I'm sure he hung out at Mariachi Plaza because he himself was a mariachi singer. And so my dad has roots in the neighborhood. So, I mean, by extension, I have roots in this neighborhood, but I never actually lived here until now.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's cool that you still decided to come here and build that space, because ultimately, how many bookstores do you know? And I guess in this block, you know, like it's...
Yeah.
You know,
well, I really, my dream was to really open up a space in South Central.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't to open up a space in Boyle Heights, but so many of my friends and so many of my mentors were here on the east side, and I got a lot of support from them to open up here, and I felt like it was the right thing to do.
Okay. I mean, so will you still want to move somewhere closer to South Central eventually?
And, you know, there's a lot of work to be done in South Central that I feel like if I were to move there, I would need a lot more support than like what I needed to be here. You know, there's a lot more like economic challenges over there than here. It's very different from here. So I cannot see myself opening up a bookstore anytime soon over there.
Hey, I mean, you got this place right now, you know?
Yeah,
so this is what you're building.
This is good. People from South Central come here, so it's good enough for now.
The word gets around, you know?
It does.
Regardless, it's still cool because you're still building a connection to the people in the neighborhood, you know, regardless. And I think that's one of the things that you guys kind of been fighting for against the gentrification stuff recently going on. Or not recently, it's been going on.
It's still going on,
The most recent thing that you guys have been going on was one with the, how do you pronounce it? Tiao
Corporation. Yeah. Tiao Corporation basically wants to demolish half of the block, and they want to build a 6-story luxury housing complex with a market hall on the ground floor. And I mean, of course, they don't want to they're not going to tell you that openly.
Yes.
They say that they're going to build market rate units and they're going to have a little mercadito on the bottom. I mean, they try to use our language to kind of win us over. But if you look at the details, like a one studio apartment will be like $2,000. Nobody here will be able to afford that. And they're only going to have about 5 affordable units for the community. And it's really hard to get into those apartments. Like you have to file an application and like it takes a lot of time for those applications to go through. And I mean, chances of, let's say like hundreds of people apply for 5 apartments.
There's like a list or something.
Right. It's going to be hard to get into. So, and then the ground floor, they want to have like a market hall. You know what that means? Just like a big,
with corporate stores too. More than
who knows? They don't even have any kind of, they're not even transparent about who's going to be in there. They have no idea. I don't even think they know who's going to be in there or they don't have, it's like a really half-assed plan, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, and one thing that you guys have been doing is just being proactive and trying to ask questions and basically stop this, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've managed to stall the project for about 6-7 months or so. So we've been doing good. We've been pushing hard to really get the word out and get people aware of like what's happening, because I think that's number one. If enough people can speak out against it, and if there's not enough, media attention and things like that, then I mean, we could win this fight. But we're still in the fight, So who knows what's going to happen? But I really am optimistic about it because this is Boyle Heights. There's no other place like it.
It's awesome that there's the continuous fight has been going on. Like right now in Sela, like I'm from Southeast LA, but you can start seeing a lot of houses being torn down already to make apartment complexes. And some people are okay with it. Some people are like, obviously against it. But it's a conversation that there's a lot of like division. People are just used to like this like air quotes low poverty, stuff that's accessible to you. And then you start seeing like this shiny store come in. You're like, oh yeah, I want the store, and it's like, what is this going to steamroll into in the future? This is like the first step to a bigger consequence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I saw that happen in South Central about 20 years ago when there used to be like this strip mall where they had there was like a beauty salon and there was like a smoke shop and things like that. And then it got converted into the Home Depot, the Starbucks, the IHOP, and like everybody was like, oh my God. So, that's the thing about this kind of gentrification is that they want to have us spend our money, the money that we don't have. They want us to buy $6, $8 coffees from Starbucks. They want us to just burn our money. They don't want us to invest in ourselves and in our own communities. So I drove through South Central the other day and I saw the same thing happening because I grew up off of like Slauson and Western. I mean, Denker and Slauson, like right by the Slauson swap meet. And right down the street, the liquor store that I would go to, LA Liquor, I have never seen it closed down.
Yeah.
And it was closed. It was burnt down.
Damn.
And I couldn't believe it. Like I got so emotional because I felt like that's what they do. They burn down these places in order to build whatever they want. So I'm still kind of grieving it because like it's a couple blocks away from my mom's house. And I'm just like, man, that is a sign of things to come. And I hope that like my mom and my family can survive staying there, So I don't know. It's a trip because that's everything I know. It is there. Everything that I grew up with is there. All my memories, everything. And I don't know. It's just, it's hard to see that.
It's definitely heavy. I mean, again, I'm in Cudahy, so I've seen the changes around there, and like you start seeing like, fuck, those are the things I grew up in, and now they're gone. Like the landscape has changed, and I notice it because I grew up with it, but to the new people, they're like, oh, let's accept it. Let's it's part of our thing. Right now, they're building on Sprouts, right? So it's like a
oh my God, I can't believe that. Oh my God.
Healthy store.
But that would be built in Sela, out of all places, honestly. Sorry, but no. I mean, I love HP, but there's some areas where I don't hang out at, because I'm just like, man, it feels like Latinos for Trump live around here, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll try to stay away from some of those areas.
Yeah, there's a, so the argument with the whole Sprouts is that, like, it's a chain store, healthy options, and the pro people are like, well, we're going to have healthy options. We don't have to drive out in this food desert and have access to healthy things. But everybody else is like, well, they're coming in. That means they're going to close everything else around them down and bring corporations in. And again, they're already tearing down buildings to build apartment complexes.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of time, right? But that's where it gets weird. Like, people who are for it, they can easily say like, hey, I'm up for the Sprouts. But in a sense, you're kind of agreeing with that gentrification aspect of things coming in. But I guess my question is there any world where that type of change is considered positive for the community, like a gentrification change?
Well, I think that if there's a corporation right behind it, I think you're asking for trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank.
Yeah, true.
I think that it's better to have no development than to have a development that is going to erase your people, that is going to displace people. And I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't. But I mean, things would be different if a lot of the other things were different too. I mean, if Food for Less changed their model and brought in more healthier options, that would help the community. There's a lot of different things that could change in our society, but I mean, those are drastic changes, that would have to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially coming from those communities, you go to a place like they sell juices, right? Like healthy juices, and you walk in and you're like, hey, new store, but your juices are like $12. You're like,
exactly.
You're coming in to try to bring a change to the community, but you're also fucking skyrocketing those prices. You're price gouging at that point just to match what your item is worth per se,
Mm-hmm,
but again, that is another aspect that we're not looking into. That these new places are coming in, but they're going to come at the cost of the money being funneled into a corporation rather than, again, back into the community.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is.
Well, I mean, you guys been doing it fine. I know a lot of people can just do the talk and not be up for the action. Not because they necessarily can't. I know in some cases that is a case, but sometimes it's not accessible for people to just walk into these meetings and.
I mean, I just happened to be here. I just happened to be here, and this happened. I didn't ask to get into this fight, but I did. I'm doing what I can, and I'm trying to help my neighbors. I'm trying to, look out for my people and look out for the community. But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because, we're working class, and most of us don't understand how, the bureaucratic process works and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to go to City Hall and you're supposed to do that, all that stuff. And so even for me, there was a big learning curve, but I can only imagine people that don't have time to learn all that, like how much is taken away from them because they just don't know their rights.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the issues you guys came across was that the language that was being provided about this was not like in Spanish or something, right? Or something.
That was one of the big fights. So yeah, at the what was it? The first public hearing that we had, we went into public comment. So I did my presentation, and then the other side, the developer did their presentation, and the city planner did their presentation. And then after we had public comment, which means that, the floor is basically open up to the community, so the community could speak to the board, to the commissioners. And so the first person to go up was actually Rosa from El Apetito, my neighbor. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't speak English. And so she went up there and she started speaking Spanish. And then the whole room just kind of erupted into support for her. Everybody was saying like she needs translation. Like what, we had requested Spanish translation, but they just didn't listen, or for some reason they didn't make that happen. So we shut it down, and they were not able to hold the meeting. And yeah, just, little things like that are wins for us.
No, that's awesome, because to an outsider, you can't force them to love the neighborhood that people grew up in, and for you to come trying to make changes on something that you don't know anything about is like, what the fuck? How dare you?
It's pretty funny. Yeah, it is, because it's pretty ridiculous that people that represent us are supposed to be representing us, right? And are supposed to be making these big decisions for the community, and are pretty much changing the landscape of our neighborhoods. They don't know what neighborhoods they are serving. They don't know the people. And so what did they expect?
Yeah. But the good thing is that people are active, There's still a group out there, because it's easy to not care. Like, it's easy to just be like,
Yeah, no, that's what they want. They want you to not care. They
Yeah.
want you to not get involved.
One thing that I for sure noticed on my way over here was the mural, the Brooklyn
Oh, yeah.
Athletes Not for
Mhm.
Sale. Like, it's just one of the things that I saw people stopping and just kind of like looking, you know. It's like, it's a message, even if it's like a small message, right? Air quote small message that is enough to make you think like, all right, what's going on around here, you know? Like, and
Yeah.
curious maybe enough to be like, hey, I care about this spot. Like, this is iconic to me.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where I'll drive past here and I'll see like the mariachi or the músicos
Yeah.
just hanging out in the corner.
Yeah.
And it's so cool just to see them and see the mural in the background.
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's a trippy,
Yeah.
surreal image there.
Mhm.
It's powerful because there's people that care about their culture, about their upbringing, and just the community that they were born in.
Yeah, and I mean the musicos care too. I mean they care about staying. They
Yeah.
care about not being displaced and about their livelihoods being taken away. So I think that's also the mural. The mural serves to remind them too that we celebrate them and that we honor them and that we're proud to have them here,
Mhm.
and that none of us here in the community want to remove them. Nobody here wants to see them go away, and I think that would be a sad day if that were to happen.
Yeah. Now, just to go back a little bit into your most recent releases, I think you just released, or you're going to release, the latest release of Sin Cesar, no?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be working on that instead of doing this interview. So
Fuck,
I gotta get to work
your
as soon as this is done. Yeah, I gotta start printing and binding and cutting and all that stuff.
And you're doing
so.
that all in-house.
Yeah, so now I'm able to print in-house. I do book binding now, which is a big cool thing that I've been wanting to do forever. So yeah, I get to do it now. It's pretty cool. This is the first one that we put out that's gonna be handmade, I guess you could say. So there's a lot of pressure for me to do it. I had to learn a lot of like how to do this, and it's been fun. It's been a challenge, but it's been fun to like really learn everything. So let's see how it comes out.
Hey, that's cool. It's like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh, thanks.
But I recently learned a new part to it. I think the second part says, but better to be a master of one than a master of none. And I was like,
yeah.
all right, I'll take that.
I don't know if I'm a master of one or none. I'm somewhere in the middle where I don't know what I'm doing and still trying to figure it out. But it's great. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the what's the book one? The Hombre Lobo, is that?
Hombre Lobo. Yeah.
You bound those yourself too?
No. The Hombre Lobo has been out for a couple of years now. Both
shit.
issues.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I did do some of the. I did print out some of my own copies, so I did bind a couple of them. They didn't really come out that great, but I sold them for cheaper because they didn't come out that great. But yeah, I'm still, I at that time I was still kind of experimenting and learning, but I'm still experimenting, I should say. So.
Hey, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we, even with this podcast, like I'm telling you, I was listening to the last episode and I'm just like, I'm doing it now a little bit, but compared to then, I felt like I was like cringy, like, oh God. But it's,
some of the things I've done I could say are in that category, but I won't, whatever. It is what it is,
No, well, with that being said, tell me a little bit about the latest issue of Sin Cesar. Like, what can people expect?
Well, people can expect it to be full color, first of all. And this is the first time that we actually have, because we usually have, the cover is obviously color and then the inside is black and white. So I've never been able to print the art in color. So this one's going to have the art in color. There's going to be a lot more other color on some of the pages. There's going to be, this is going to be a pretty thick issue. And I didn't expect it to get so thick because, things change and sometimes you lose a story or somebody's poem doesn't get edited, so I can't put it in, or somebody's short story, somebody doesn't sign the contract, and so that doesn't happen. So a lot of things happen, and you lose a lot of work sometimes. It's all like you lose like a handful. So I kind of thought that I was going to be able to make it to like 150 pages or so. I thought it was going to be a light issue, but it just kind of slowly grew over time. And now it's going to be more like I would say more like an art book. Like it feels, this one's going to be a lot different because I'm going to be experimenting a lot more with different types of paper. And in terms of the content, I have a lot of writers from Mexico that I've translated into English. So I'm pretty proud about that. There's a lot more translation work in there for sure.
Do you have a small team, or is it still just you and like just?
No. I've had a team for a while.
Oh,
I've had a team for a while. So it's like me and 2 other people, Amanda Orozco, who's also my literary agent, and then Adrian Villarreal, who's been an amazing supporter before he joined the team, and then now he's just like all around like a great writer, great assistant, and like he's been really dope. So I'm blessed to have like these 2 really strong independent people that are like, you know, they've been with me for a couple years now. So
and that's good when you find the people, you know, because people
come and go. It's hard. It's hard to find good people. I mean, it really is. When you find a good person, you got to hold on. Yeah, you got to hold on to them.
You got to take care of them. No, but that's awesome, dude. Like for reals, like I said, I just been able to see your progress from the outsider, you know, and just to see like you've been consistent with the work, you know, even when things sometimes get a little harsh with outsiders, you know, it's still something that you're just like trekking through.
Pues sí. There's no other way to do it. That's what I learned from my parents and my grandparents and my ancestors, that we just do what we can with what we have, and we overcome all the odds.
Yeah. It's awesome. Again, just from that cupboard little closet that you were working on to now.
It's so funny that you remember that, because I was driving by the other day and it's like no longer there. It's like gone. Now, USC built housing, of course, you know, so it's all gone, but you know, the memory remains, and you just brought it up and it just
it was back you know, I'm sure that was an experience for you because you were there. To me, I just remember because I was like, I went to pick up an issue of Dryline that time,
and you're like, oh, this is her studio.
Yeah, you're like, I have to go through the little gate. And I was like, all right, cool, walk in. I was like, this is, and you know, it's a creative space regardless, small or not, but you had like all this stuff that just looked like work, and I was like, dude, this is cool. This is the making of some big stuff, you know?
My little underground I'm just in there like a little, you know, I don't know, like a little bat or something, just in the dark. Yeah, it's a good times. Yeah. I'm happy to be here now, though. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And in terms of your poetry work, like how has that evolved over the last couple of years? Like, where do you see yourself going with that?
In the beginning, when I first started publishing some of my work, I think I was a little bit more like angsty and like punk, and I was just like wanting to yell and like be angry, and you know, my poems were more just very emotional, just very like, I don't know how to explain it. And I think I still write as a reflection of the things I go through and the ideas that I have, and you know, some of my own kind of mythology. I love writing about, you know, the city and the conditions that we find ourselves in, and also I love, you know, the metaphor of the animals that we're surrounded by, that we encounter, or that I encounter in my dreams, you know, or in you know, face to face. So yeah, I don't know where I am.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just know that I don't really like to think about myself in like these kind of brackets where I'm like, oh, now I'm writing like this, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing that.
You're just going with the flow.
I just kind of write where I am.
Okay. I think I came across one. You know, I was just catching up on some of the stuff that I found online for you, and there was a poem. I forgot the name of it, but I think you went through.
You're not a true fan.
I'm not a true fan. Nah, that's not true. I'm the biggest fan. What was it? I remember the parts of it though. I think you were saying that you were in somewhere like on a rooftop in Linwood, like in a garage.
Oh yeah.
A blunt or a joint or something.
That's utilizing Google Maps to triangulate the course of my desmadre over the years.
I was not gonna remember the whole title, but that one I read it and I was like, damn, this is like I love how you put things together, like the words. You know, I'm not a fucking poet guy. I'm not a guy who's analyzing shit, but I'm reading it and I'm just like, damn, very visual, very you know, it really sets the mood and the environment of where you're at, and you're just like just going through that narrative, right, through that story.
Yeah.
Going back to the main thing about the LA Times article, like what was that feature like for you?
Well, this is the second time that I get featured in the LA Times. The first time was about the literary journal, and it was kind of more about me and my life and things like that. This one was a little bit less personal. This one was more about the poetry, and that was cool because I've never had anybody actually write a whole piece about my poetry in the way that Mark did. And so first of all, I didn't know if it was actually going to be published or printed or anything because the story was taking so long.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got interviewed like last summer or something like that. And so I thought, oh, maybe it won't happen. You know, sometimes things like that happen where the editor will kill the story or for whatever reason it doesn't make it. So I just didn't really think about it. I just did it. I didn't really care if it was going to happen or not. And so once, you know, November, December came, they were like, all right, we're going to make it happen. And like, we're going to take photos of you and do all these things. And I was like, oh man, I am so unprepared for I thought it wasn't going to happen, you know, because it took so long. So I was just like, oh man. So they were like, all right, you got to put together your outfit, and you're the one that has to come up with like an idea of like how you want to be, you know,
like
how you want to be shot, and like you got to bring props if you need props. And I was like, oh man, I thought for some reason like they were gonna take care of all that, and so I like hit up my friend who loves doing like creative direction, and for some reason I think he was sick or something like that. He had COVID or something, and I was like, oh man, like I need help here, because I mean I love dressing myself, but I really wanted to get like a different look for that day, for that shoot. And so he was like, oh yeah, my friend will help you. And I was like, all right. So I went to like this girl's house. Like it was like, I think it was like the second time I met her. I didn't really know her, and she's like, wear this, do this, do that. And I was like, oh my god, all right. She just gave me like a bunch of pointers, and like she gave me like the red material
and stuff. Or
no, just kind of like for my outfit and my lipstick and my makeup and stuff. Because I mean, I'm so used to doing this look that you see me now. But if I like mess up, let's just say like I mess up my eyeliner, like let's say for some reason it's not perfect, it's not going to look good in the photo, you know? Yeah. So she was like, forget trying to do what you usually do and just play it safe, you know, just be more natural. And so I was like, all right. Because I wanted something more like avant-garde, something like more goth. Yeah. But I was like, all right, I can't mess this up, you know? So maybe next time I'll hire a makeup artist and get all fancy and do all that. But for what it was cool, you know?
No, I mean, they definitely captured that natural feeling, you know?
Yeah.
It looked very like serene, you know?
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. It was really cool. So, and then, so the story came out in December, late December, and then they were like, oh, it's gonna go into print. And I didn't, like I said, I was like, maybe not. Yeah. And then it went into print January 7th of 2024, which was a great way to start the year for me. So pretty happy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, for the events that you got planned going on, I guess for the next couple of months, like what can people...
next couple of months? I only have the next month.
Oh, just the next month. Okay, well that's...
This guy will be...
Hey, no, you know what? I kind of work the same. I just know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks in terms of the podcast.
Right, me too.
I'm just like, all right, when I get there, I'm just going to figure out the rest. So.
Right. So right now we have... I could look at my... let me look at my phone here because I don't memorize everything. Sometimes my brain doesn't have... Okay, so we are doing Roots of the Pueblo on February 24th on a Saturday with Shmuel Gonzalez. It's going to be a teach-in on the indigenous Spanish and Mexican history of Boyle Heights. So that'll be in 2 weeks. And then, of course, Sin Cesar, the launch party for issue number 13 is going to be also on the 24th, but that'll be like at 6:30 p.m. Then we have a photo walk coming up on March 2nd. And then we have a teaching on Chicanismo, focus on Aslan on March 9th. And then for me, I'm doing a panel at Stories on February 27th. And then I also have another panel on March 27th. And then later on in the year, in November, I'm doing a panel with the LA Public Library at the downtown, public library. So that's cool. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening. I'm also doing a panel in Tijuana, I think in May. So yeah, there's a lot Lot of little things lined up.
I mean, that sounds like you're busy for the rest of the year, though, to be honest.
I mean, I'm trying to just be chill. You know, last year was super crazy. I traveled so much and it was tiring. And now I just want to stay put, take it easy, and do a couple things here and there. But I don't want to exhaust myself this year. So I'm kind of looking forward to just being a low key year. You know, just focus on making books, focus on writing. You know, just getting a lot of my craft. Underway, like working on it a bit more. So that's the plan.
Well, people can definitely keep an eye out and be ready for Viva
ready
Padilla's
for
content.
More.
For people to find your latest releases, your work, and all that good stuff, where can people find you?
Well, I'm pretty active on my social media on Instagram, so you can find me at Anochka on Instagram. That's ANOTCHKA. And you can go to my website, vivapadilla.com. I have to have that. And that'll have my, formal information, like my bio. And you can follow the stores page at Reartela, Reartela. And that's the bookstore page. And you can also follow Sin Cesar magazine if you want to know about like submissions or if you want to buy a copy and support. So yeah, there's a lot of ways you can find me. You could just Google me and you can find the cringy interview that we had years ago. If you want to dive into the cringe,
I'm gonna link it to this episode.
Please don't. Yeah, so there's a lot of ways that you can find me.
All right, awesome. Well, you heard it here first, everybody. You know where to find it. Keep an eye out for that new issue, Lucky number 13, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you, Social Primates.
Peace out.
Trying to figure out my escape plan. Break the pavement from the waistband. Blame the system with a chainsaw. Gotta make rent, gotta save up. Stack the paper in a briefcase. This a briefcase, not a long time. Took the wrong turns, hit the wrong lines. Hit the wrong hand, but the wrong side. Made a bad move in a bad life, but that's just how life is. I'm full of excitement. I dropped all my weed and I cannot get high now. Yo, you got any notes to say? Just cash out me the request and I'll send it over. Alright, yeah. Thoughts hit like a baseline off arrow and baseline. Fast forward and rewind. Looking for a definition I can't seem to define. Private beach with my section. This pain was a blessing. I'm jumping off clouds, man. This shit feels like heaven. Gotta bring back that kindness. Gotta bite back when they bind you. Gotta freeze them like, why would you spite me when I'm down on my spine? Why would you start fires? But you know I've been dry. You know I've been dry, man. Like, you gotta hit me up if you have. Yeah. Tryna catch up on this maintenance. It ain't been the same since I've been working on my